All right, welcome everybody to our weekly Wednesday webinars. We actually have two great teams can join in here. We have the Rex Kell group along with Brad Nash's group, and both very accustomed to Wednesday night training. It's the best night of the week because it's the night we come together and hone our craft, grow ourselves, and just have time to be together in the virtual world. So it is my extreme pleasure to get to introduce two of my favorite people in the world here, and actually some of the industry leaders in what we're doing. They were one of the first few people to see Dr. A's mission and say, hey, I want to be a part of that. And this class is actually something I specifically reached out to Greg Rex on because I've taken it myself probably at least 4 or 5 times, and every single time I get something from it. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, there is a lot to glean from this. So it's my extreme pleasure to turn it over to Global Director and Team Global Executive Committee member, Greg Rex.
Thanks, Brad. I'm excited to be here. We have a cool group. We have people on the East Coast that are up at 11 o'clock at night. And then we got a lot of West Coasters, us both being on the West Coast. This is exciting. I'm really looking forward to this. Is, in my opinion, one of the most important topics. We kind of promoted it as we're going to talk about time management. But I really want to put it in the context of managing your life and managing a thriving business, especially with Take Shape for Life. One of the things we found, and I heard you talking about one of the ladies who had logged in early, she's already getting started and she sees results so fast. And things can grow really fast with Take Shape for Life because it's very organic. And I love this picture because this is on my vision board. And it says, if you can imagine it, Take Shape for Life can get you there. And I see this guy sitting on the beach, having a entrepreneur lifestyle, sitting on the beach, doing business. Who knows? He could be in Hawaii, like your mom and dad. But what I love about this business is it gives you so much flexibility. And I want to ask those people on the call tonight, if you could imagine you were a fully integrated health coach and you're making on average, say, $2,500 a month. What would your ideal day look like? What would you do first thing in the morning? What would you do in the midday? What would you do in the afternoon? What would you do in the evening? What if you're a fully integrated business coach and you had a team? And the average fully integrated business coach, integrated executive director, they make $60,000 a year, and they probably work, 10, 15 hours a week. So what would your day look like? Your ideal day, if you had that kind of a structured business, you had that kind of income and that kind of time freedom. And, that's what we really have. And I really want to start by talking about, how you think about this business. If you think about this as a hobby and you treat it like a hobby, then you'll get those kind of results. But if you think about this as a huge opportunity, not only for yourself, but for all those you come into contact with, and you treat it like a business, you become a professional, that's what we really want to emphasize. That time management is a critical skill for a professional. So we're going to talk about how to go pro, how to use your time effectively, focusing mostly on your calendar, focusing on what we call high return on investment activities, those things that make the biggest difference for growing your business, and how important it is to track what I call key performance indicators. Those are the things that move your business along predictably. We're talking about predictable transformation, predictable progress. The key performance indicators are what we look at. And then how do we get rid of some of the distractions and the time wasters and the things that get in the way of us building our Take Shape for Life business? So those are the main topics for tonight. And we'll start with what is time management. And one thing that I will say is that time is kind of an elusive thing. It's an interesting concept. Can you really manage time? How many think raise your hand and put your hand in front of the screen if you think you can manage time? Okay. In some ways you can, but in reality, we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 60 minutes in an hour. We all have 168 hours in a week. Really, the thing is how do you manage yourself during that time? Because that time is going to go on with or without you. So the real question is, how do you invest the time that you're given, your 168 hours, your 24 hours, and how do you manage your energy? Because how many of you agree also that your energy is very important and it has a connection to time? How much energy you have, how much focus you have, how much attention you have, that's a key element. So we're going to talk about that as well. And so in my mind, time management is really priority management or self-management. It's really getting yourself to take the daily choices that move you forward. So we're going to talk about how I've been doing this for a couple of years and how we've taught some of our coaches and our team members to organize themselves in a way to get the best out of their Take Shape for Life business. So how do you juggle it all? We have a lot of things going on. We have families, we have friends, we have our church, we have our school, we have our kids, we have our exercise, we have our Take Shape for Life clients, we have our thing. And how do you juggle it all? Has anyone ever felt, raise your hand in front of your camera if you've ever felt like this lady right here. Like you've had like so many balls going, you don't know where to look. And when you have that many balls going, you're going to drop some. And when you drop balls in this business, it's hard because these are relationships. You don't want to drop the ball. You don't want to let somebody down. You really want to be a professional. So how do you juggle it all? Well, the answer is you don't. You can't juggle everything. You have to actually prioritize. You have to actually make some conscious decisions. And sometimes these are tough decisions. But I love this picture because unlike this lady who looks like she's stressed out and ready to pass out, this guy here, he's happy juggling with one hand. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. He's got, when you keep it simple and you boil it down to the basics, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're really going to boil this business down to the basics so you can focus on the things that matter the most. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to talk to you guys in a progressive manner, 3 different levels of business structure, because as a smaller, newer coach, there's not that many things you need to learn. There's not that many things you need to do. You got a small business. You might have a manager's business or senior coach business, all the way up to fully integrated health coach, which is ED, by volume. You're helping clients, but you haven't gone into team building. The mid-sized business is now you're going to bridge into team building. You're still going to be a health coach, but now you're going to start moving towards fully integrated business coach. And that's going to be like an integrated executive, an integrated national, or in that range. And I'm going to touch a little bit on what the big picture is, having a large equity business, which is global director up to integrated presidential. And that's when you have built large teams, and there's a different requirement for running your business. There's different skills, there's different actions, there's different scheduling strategies that work different at different stages. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the migration of those 3 different stages. So we'll start with the newer business. This is like a brand new coach to somebody who's going towards fully integrated health coach. They're still client focused, and we're going to talk about some of the things. So number 1 is, your number 1 focus is to become a professional. Be on these calls, work with your mentor, and master your craft. And the only 2 other activities you need to really focus on are acquiring and supporting clients. If you could, let me see, can you help with muting out any background noise, Brad? Or should I do that? I think I can.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that right now.
There we go. All right. You still got it. See if you can fix that from the back. All right. So acquiring and supporting clients, that's your main focus. So from a time management strategy.
Hey, Greg, I'm not able to mute them. I figured out it's one of the callers.
Okay.
Greg, only the host can mute participants.
Yeah, I had it set to mute all.
She came in late. You got it now, Greg.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so the time management strategies for the newer business, because they only have a few focuses, is there's a couple things. One is, and this is very effective, I call this the daily touch strategy. And that's where you just, every day, for whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, you touch your business and you move it forward. Every day, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Mini blocks of time. You're probably working 5 to 10 hours a week at this level. Part-time, maybe 5 to 12 hours a week. And once you get to the size of like a manager, associate director, and director, and you have 10 to 15 or more clients, that's when it's very important, I think, to shift to client celebration blocks. So we'll talk about what that is, client celebration block. The other thing is that at this early level, it's critically important for you to use leverage and for you to tap into the resources of the bio network versus being a lone ranger, because you're still in that learning curve and you still need to learn what are the fundamentals, what are the cornerstones, how do I do this business properly, efficiently, so I make it attractive so people want to do it with me. So what is leverage? Let's talk about that concept of leverage. Maybe you heard the story about if you give me a lever big enough and a fulcrum strong enough, I can move the world. Now, it was a quote that somebody said, and it's true, when you have a big lever, it's a tool. A lever is something that helps you get more work done with less effort. And one of the biggest leverage points we have in our business is the bio network. And I don't really mean all this stuff, the 5-in-1 and habits of health and the my TSFL. I don't mean all those things. I mean the bio part, the life part, the living part, the health coach, the business leader, the community. The bio in the bio network is the living piece of this, and that's where you get your most leverage out of this business, is working together. I'll tell a little story about that. One of my coaches who I'm working with on the East Coast, she's got a brand new health coach who started about 6 weeks ago. She was a client. She'd done really well. She lost 60 pounds. Her name is Sarah, and everyone was asking her, and of course, it's very organic. That's how most of us got started. We had our personal experience. People started noticing. We started sharing. And right out of the gate, she started doing practice calls with her and sharing the program, teaching Sarah. Sarah's right here at the bottom. And she brought all of her contacts, people that were interested in learning about Take Shape for Life, to her expert, her third party, her mentor, Emily. And for the first 3 to 5 presentations, Emily did 90% of the work. And what's powerful this is not only is Sarah able to earn while she learned, so she hit her cab in her first 30 days. And what she did is she also did a lot of other very important things. Because what happens is with Sarah, all her friends, they know her, they've known her for years. Some of them are family members. So they might trust her, but they might not have the same level of respect as they would for a third party. So by bringing in Emily, a third party, they would listen to her more than they would listen to Sarah anyways, even if she did know how to present, even if she wasn't a brand new coach. And Sarah's job at this point is, when she brings the guest in front of her expert, is to edify Emily, to talk about how great Emily is and tell her that, build her up. That's what edify means, build up. And in return, Emily would edify Sarah and build her up and talk about how great she is. And this is a magic formula, because instead of telling somebody, you're showing them. And it's a predictable outcome because the expert's done it. They've presented to dozens, maybe hundreds of people. And what it does is, while we're building the skills and the competency of Sarah, the new coach, we're also building her confidence. So sooner or later, she'll be the expert over here. Her coaches will start bringing them her guests, and she'll be the third party doing the presentation for them. So it demonstrates teamwork right from the beginning, so that when someone's watching, they say, wow, I can do this. If all I got to do is bring them into my mentor and let the mentor coach, present for me, I think I can do this. Another very important, probably the most important tool we have, is our file folder system and our training guides, which synchronize with that. This is really the backbone of the system that we talk about. When we talk about having one system, this is it. The file folder system will take somebody from I'm interested or not interested to, okay, how do I get started, into the fat-burning state, into their first month, and into being a fully integrated client. And that's what this, this first training guide number 1 is really to get you started, but it also aligns perfectly with the folder systems, files pre, 1, 2, and 3. So the first goal, help somebody get there for, find 5 clients that want to get healthy, help them generate $1,000 in group volume. In 30 days, they reach their senior coach. They reach senior coach typically, because most orders are over, $250, and they earn their cab bonus, and they earn all their client support commissions. And what often happens is, as you start identifying people, you start seeing the 5-in-1 of team building, which means usually 1 out of every 5 clients is a great candidate to become a health coach. Now, in this case with Sarah, her first month was only she came in the middle of the month. So after her first 6 weeks, she had made manager, and she just now has her first health coach getting started. So she's actually following this pathway just exactly how we want to do it. And how she's doing it is with partnering with her mentor, Emily. So then step 2 is continue to go wide, to continue to share the program with clients until you become executive director, or what we call fully integrated health coach. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And while you're doing that, now you're going into a new level of business. This is when you want to make sure you start switching over to client celebration calls. So let's look at what happens to the income. As a health coach, your incomes can go up very quickly, but it does get to a point where it starts to flatten out because there's so many hours in a day, and there's so many clients you can support. So as a health coach, there is a limit to how many, how well you can do financially based on how many hours you have in a day to invest into the business. So this is the IDS, the income disclosure statement. And as you can see, a senior coach, they're going to average about $324 a month. A manager is going to average about $600 a month. And an executive director, they're going to average around $2,800 a month. So that's good because you know what? Whenever we survey what the average executive director, I'd actually like anyone who's willing to share to go to your chat feature and type in on the chat feature, how many hours a week do you spend on your client side of your business? Just your client acquisition and your client support. So if you're ED or above, type in how many hours a week you invest in that. And then Brad, kind of give me an average up. You kind of watch some of the responses. Okay, so now let's go to averaging this income out. If you said somebody who's a senior coach for the year, that's about $1,000. I'm sorry, about almost $4,000. A manager, almost $7,000. An associate director, average is about $11,000. Executive director, $34,000. Now just think about this. How many families would love an extra $34,000 a year working 10 to 12 hours a week? So I bet you when we get the answer back to the poll we just did, I bet you it'll be in that 10 to 12 hour range.
Yep, Greg, you're exactly right. Most people chime it in somewhere between 5 and 12. And that's what we're seeing pretty consistently here.
Awesome. Well, this is where, Brad, I'd like you to ask the person who you wanted me to do some laser coaching with and I'll find them and I'll unmute them. What was their name?
Stephen and Wally Drummond.
Wally Drummond, right there. Unmute. Hey, Wally, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you, Brad, and for asking me to work with Greg here. So I appreciate it. Stephen is participating. He's just helping keep the dogs quiet while we're unmute.
You must have a lot of dogs.
2, but they sound like 20. So.
All right. I think I see one in the background. All right. Well, so here's what we're going to do. So Wally, it is Wally, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions, and what I'd like to ask you to do is to kind of answer them in kind of like bullet form. Don't tell a whole story about, first when we started this, it did this, and then just kind of try to stay focused right with me on the key question that I'm asking you, and because I'm going to kind of drill down, and we're going to see what we can do to help free up some time for your life. Is that okay?
Perfect.
All right. So, and also, if you could help Brad by taking numbers, writing things down and double checking my math. I'm going to write it down here, but I'd appreciate having a little bit of backup here. So, okay. So Wally, how many hours a day do you normally sleep?
7 or 8.
Okay. And so we're going to, that's 7 days a week, right?
Correct.
All right. So 49 hours is in the final column over there. So do you have a day job?
I do.
What do you do?
I am a coordinator for Intuit.
Okay, cool. And how many hours a day do you work and how many days a week?
5 days a week, between 8 to 10 hours a day.
Okay, so I'll go with 9.
Okay.
So 9 times 5 is what, 56?
45.
45, thank you. In a long time. You get too dependent on calculators these days. All right. And what about family time? And this is going to include, dinner, cooking for the kids, whatever, family time. maybe, weekends. So what do you think that is? How many hours per day and then days per week?
What comes to mind? Probably about 3 hours during the week, and on the weekends, we could say 6. So that's 3 times 5. So 15
plus 12.
Yeah, we could do
27.
Sure.
Okay, so a little more time. 6 hours on the weekends, 3 hours on the weekdays.
Yes.
Got it. All right, and let's talk about personal time. And what falls into that category would be things like your fitness, your maybe your church, any activities that you do for yourself, your reading.
I'll say 7 hours for the whole week.
About an hour a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't sound real happy about that one.
I know. I'm like, oh, how sad.
All right. Now let's talk about any other major boulders. These are important things that are, in your life. Church, dance club, projects you're working on.
Yeah, I'm part of a personal development group, and I put a lot of hours in with them. So, oh geez, I want to say at least a couple hours a day. So we could do 14 hours for the week.
Great. Is that personal development helping you with your business?
Yes.
Great. Awesome.
I'll say the time commitment part, no. But the actual part of it, yes.
Okay, so you're becoming a better communicator, a better person, so it's helping in that way, but it's also taking up a couple hours a day every day.
Right.
Got it. Are there any other things? There's a couple blanks here, so we got one with the personal development. Any other major commitments or projects that you work on an ongoing basis?
No, it's really just
That's it?
naps. I can think of naps.
Is that a regular thing, like every day?
Not every day. It's probably twice a week.
Okay, then we'll leave that out.
Yeah.
So, Brad, add up 49, 45, 27, 7, and 14 for me.
We're at 142.
142. Okay, now, so down here, that's her number, 142. Total hours accounted for. Total hours in a week is 168. So subtract 168 from 142, please.
26.
26. Now, so basically what we're saying here is you have about 26 hours that are unaccounted for, talking about the big things in your life. Now, here's what I know about nature. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you've got some free time, there's something that will fill it.
Yep.
Sometimes the things that fills your free time are not really value added. They're not really on purpose for your higher goals and what's really important to you. It's just stuff. Like for me, sometimes I find myself getting on the internet and I tell myself I'm going to be on for half an hour, and 2 hours later, I haven't got anything really important done. Yep. I'm like surfing La La Land. Or, sometimes I'll find myself checking out with TV and watching, I say, I'm just going to watch this one little show. And then, 2 hours later, like, what am I doing? I just wasted an hour and a half. So you do have 26 hours. Now, how much of those 26 hours are going towards Take Shape for Life? Because we didn't put this on Take Shape for Life on the list.
Yeah, honestly, per week, maybe 8 hours. I'm really not putting in the time.
8 hours per week. Okay. And tell me, what level of your business are you?
Currently at manager, close to associate director.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's do a little bit of, can I ask you something else about, we're going to come back to some more questions. Let's first talk about what are some strategies for right now. If I were you, mentoring you, and I want you to go back and review this with Brad and Ashley or whoever your global is. I want you to go back because I don't know your business really well enough to give you specific advice. So I'm just going to give you general advice. And then I'd like to get you to go back and really drill down and get specific with them. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay. So the first strategy I want to talk about is what I call prime time. prime time means this. What would you guess prime time means, Wally?
Meaning the time that you give your most attention to.
Yes. And what would make prime time versus non-prime time? What's the difference?
That it's important.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to give you a little hint here. There's two things that move your business forward: acquiring clients and supporting clients.
Mm-hmm.
Those are prime activities. Those are the two things that move your business forward. Everything else should be off prime time.
Okay.
So prime time, the easy definition is it's the best time that I have available with the highest probability of connecting with my clients or potential clients. So prime time for a lot of people, what would be prime time for you to be able to connect with people when you think you have the highest probability of connecting with them?
Between like 6:30 and 8 p.m.
Okay, excellent. So that is a prime time for most people. Also, lunch hours tends to be a good prime time. So the first concept is during your prime time, you got to respect that prime time. It's sacred. That is where you don't do any admin, anything that can weigh, anything that's not related to client acquisition and client support. Don't do it during prime time. So write down right now, the prime time for you is between 6 and 8:30.
Yes.
Well, write that down. We're going to come back to that.
Written down.
Next thing we're going to talk about block time. Block time is what do I do with my little chunks of time? If you've got 8 hours a week, and you might have a little bit more if you've structured things and you maybe gave up a few things that weren't that important to you, that might be like, for me, getting lost on internet or getting, behind the TV and just vegging out. If you could drop a couple of those hours, one of my global director teams came back from national conference and they said, we're going to take the 2 hours that we usually watch the news at night, and we're going to have a glass of wine, and we're going to go through our business in a blueprint, and we're going to go through and learn our business instead of watch TV. And they went global in like 6 months.
Awesome.
Just making that dedication, switching that, junk time to block time that's effective. So block time means you set aside time for a specific activity. That's what block time means. If it's client support time, that's all you do, client support calls. If it's inviting people to the next healthy happy hour, that's all you do for half an hour. That block of half an hour or 45 minutes, whatever the block is, it's dedicated to one thing. If it's email time, it's email time. That's all you do. You don't do anything else. You get it done. You stay focused, because what happens is if you bounce around from email to phone call to this to faxing to you never get on a roll.
Yeah.
You never get any momentum. And scientists have figured out that every interruption usually takes about 15 minutes for you to get back to the momentum that you had before the interruption. So let's talk about the next thing, which is store hours. One thing that I found is this business is very exciting and fun, and it's easy for it to take over your life. And we don't want that. We want your life to be attractive, right?
Right.
So store hours means there's a time when you start and there's a time when you end. And I think some people have a hard time getting started, and some people have a hard time ending it. And they just keep working until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they burn themselves out and they don't want to be a coach anymore. So you really need to have store hours. And I want you to work with your leadership on creating those store hours for you. I'll give you some examples to play with. Okay. And block time can happen in small as 15, 30, or 60-minute chunks. I like taking a break at 60 minutes to get up and stretch and just move around, just for state of mind and for energy, because I don't like going 3 hours on just one activity. I get kind of burnt out. So I recommend 15, 30, or 60-minute chunks for your block times, okay? And then last is, what about all those little windows of opportunity? The 15 minutes while you're standing in line, waiting for the kids for their soccer or whatever. Have your call list with you. Have your pre-client list. Have your folder 1 with you with your first week clients. Pop in a DVD or an audio tape. Listen to a recorded webinar. Go to Team Global Webinars and download one of the MP3s and listen to it. And when you're out and about, you're always a coach. So you can squeeze out this business in little chunks just by going around and doing your daily life. Whatever you normally do, you're out and about, you're always a health coach. Keep that in mind, okay?
Yep.
All right. So now, this is the game changer. You're at this stage right now where you go to 10, 15, 20 clients, where it really starts making sense for you to graduate to client celebrations And that would mean that, either like Tuesday night from 6 to 7, and then maybe Monday night from 6:30 to 7, you block out time and you just go through bang, 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 calling all of your clients in that window. And how I do it is what I'll do is I tell my clients that their first week, your first month, we're going to have the most contact. But the first week is going to be, almost every day. We're going to talk the first 4 days and at the end of the week and any time in between. If you need me, I want you to call me or text me. But after that, we're going to get onto a weekly rhythm. And it's going to be checking in on a weekly basis. Now, I do my client celebration calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you're starting on Monday. So how about we have your client check-in call on Tuesdays? So after the first week, I move them into my schedule, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I call them, I check in, I check in, and check in, and check in. And then that's the way I do it. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 weeks to get them into a client celebration window, but I really want to make sure that they get in the fat burning state. They understand the 5-1, they understand the basics, and now they're ready to start dabble into more of the bio network. They're getting more into the habits felt, they're getting into the nurses' calls, etc. So this is a structure for a good 5 to 6 hour week business. You have your Monday night call with Dr. A, maybe a half hour after that, making some client celebration follow-up calls. You got Tuesday night for client celebration. Every night you're doing personal development before you go to bed, half an hour, whatever, whatever works for you, do your personal development. And then you have follow-up time. That's a different block, right? You're following up with maybe clients that you've invited to an event, or they weren't ready, or their connections, people you're staying connected with. Or maybe you're inviting people to a 3-way call or a healthy happy hour. And then you also want to try to get out there and do some networking. And then once a month, you'll probably have a local training to attend on Saturday. So if you add this up, not including the personal development in the evening, this is about a 5 or 6 hour a week business. And that's kind of where you have been. You're getting ready to go to the next level. So now I want to ask you, let's do a reality check. So would you mind sharing what your hourly rate is at your day job?
$28.50.
$28.50. Okay, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many hours a week do you work? We already did that.
Yeah, it was average
45. 45. Okay. So now, Brad, help me out with the math. I want to do, well, we don't need it because we just do it. We got the 28 hours. That's all we need. But we do need to know that she's working 45 hours a week because we'll come back to that. Now let's compare that to your TSFL income. Here's where I'm going to need your math skills, Brad. So what's your total monthly income last month? Do you know you have to add up your bonus plus your weekly?
Oh, geez. I should have came with that number. Probably, we'll say about 1,000.
That sounds about right.
We'll round it.
You agree, probably about 1,000 in that range. That's probably pretty close. Okay, and then let's take 1,000, Brad, divided by 4, which is 250, right? Mm-hmm. And then divide that by 8 hours a week.
31.25.
31.25. Okay, so you're making a little bit more, 3 hours, about $3 more an hour with TSFL. Mm-hmm. You're working 1/5 the number of hours, and I'm sure your other job is really fun, but how fun is health coaching?
Oh, it's so much better. So much more fun.
Yeah. So this is just a little comparison to give you an idea. You've already matched your income from your day job in a couple of months being a coach and working with Take Shape for Life. So congratulations, you're on a roll and you're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, now I'm going to go and share a couple other things. These are fundamentals that you guys probably all know, but there's a thing called the 80-20 rule, and it's been around for a long time. And that says that, 20% of your actions produce 80% of your results. 20% of your problems come from 80% of your problems come from 20% of your clients. 20% of the health coaches do 80% of the business and Take Shape for Life. So and also this has to do with contacting people and sharing with people. If you talk to 10 people, 20%, 2 of them should be ready to go. A handful of them are like green apples. They need to ripen on the vine. They're not ready yet, but they may be. And there's probably about 20% that'll never be ready. They're just not a good fit. So we can't save everyone. Matter of fact, we know up front statistically, 8 out of 10 are not ready right now. So what that means is that we are in the follow-up business. We're in the relationship business. We are in a business that you can't think short term. You got to think long term. So 5 out of 1 is the ratio when you break it down to the small level. We love the 5 and 1 because it goes along with our program. The 5 and 1 for business, the 5 and 1 for life. So if you present the program to about 5 candidates, you should be able to get 1 new client, 20%. If you present the business to 5 health coach candidates, you should be able to find 1 new health coach, 5 and 1. And remember, 80% of people say yes after the 5th offer. So you need to talk to them over and over again, drip on them, connect with them, stay in the relationship with them, add value, and then over time, you'll be surprised at how people go. Now, when you go pro, your numbers can get better. You can go from 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 4. You can even get to 1 out of 3 because you learn the skills, how to ask questions, how to identify, how to qualify, how to approach, how to use your third party, how to use your mentor. So as you go pro, your numbers will get better. But we start off with everyone shooting for the basics of at least 1 out of 5 or 80-20. And here's a couple other stats as far as for you knowing the patterns. Over the years of 13 years of doing Take Shape for Life, these patterns are consistent. They've changed almost not at all. Dan Bell tracks them really closely. So the average health coach does about $1,000 in group volume per month. The average senior does about $1,700, and the average executive director does about $18,000 in group volume. So that's their frontline volume and their team of coaches. So knowing that, you can actually start projecting how you grow your business and whether or not you're meeting up to average numbers or not. So let's talk about the key performance activities. These are the things that make the most difference. Key performance means it's a critical element that you're doing something that's going to indicate that moves the needle, moving your business forward. Now, to build a structured business, which is kind of what this whole conversation is about, is building sustainable structure. A fully integrated health coach has a couple things. Number 1, they're a fully integrated client. Number 2, they get certified. Number 3, they're on Be Slim, so they're living the lifestyle. Also, they have at least 6,000 in frontline volume. So here's the good news. There's only 3 things you need to track. Number 1, how many client shares do you do? How many people do you invite or share the program with? Number 2, how many client interviews do you do? How many actual profiles and presentations you sit down and walk somebody through it? And then of those people, how many sign up? So here's what your business coach can do. If you don't track this, you won't know whether you've got a good skill set or not. You won't know whether you're effective or not. So you need to kind of keep an eye on how many clients am I sharing with, how many interviews or presentations am I doing, and how many new clients sign up from that. So let's say that somebody invites or shares the program with 70 people and they get 20 presentations and interviews, but they only get 1 sign up. What skill do they need to work on?
Follow up.
Probably presenting, because if they got in front of a lot of people, but none of them are getting started, then they have great inviting skills because they got 20, a third of those people came to say, I want to hear more. They're interested. So by doing these numbers, your mentor will be able to look and see, where do I need to intervene? Where do your skills need to be improved? Is it you're not taking enough action? Maybe if they called 10 people in 1 month and they got 3 signups, well, what? They got great skills in sharing, great skills in presenting, but they're just not doing enough action. So you can look at these things and make some adjustments. So it's really important to track your activities in those 3 categories: KPIs, client shares, client interviews, and new client enrollments. Brad, is there anything you want to say about that?
No, you're actually spot on. I'm actually in the middle of taking a screenshot of this to post for later because it's so darn good.
All right. Well,
anyone else feel like they're adding hours to their week and knowing things to be focusing on? So I sure am.
All right. So let's talk about being intentional. Everyone knows this probably, but to get 6,000 in frontline volume, which is what a fully integrated health coach needs, that's about 22 clients. It's not a lot of clients. So what it takes focus and dedication. You can't just have 28 things going in the air. You need to be intentional with how many shares, how many interviews, and how many enroll. So sometimes you have to say no to something good so that you can say yes to something great. Like the Caesars, who said no to their favorite time watching TV and getting caught up on all the negative things in the world versus reading the business blueprint and learning how to be a great health coach and business coach. So you got to know your non-negotiables. What are those things? Make a list of those things with your mentor and with your husband. What are the things that are most important that makes us happy? Why are we doing this business? We're doing this business because we want to have a balanced life, not just for a certain goal or a certain rank. So know your non-negotiables and put those in your calendar first. Your fitness, your health, that kind of stuff, your spirituality. Second, learn how to stay focused in that block time by turning off notifications. Turn off your email notification on your phone, on your computer. Because if you're working on something, you're talking to somebody and it pops up, even that little momentary distraction, you're not present with your client. Mm-hmm. So turn off notifications. The thing I like to say is that, we have these inboxes for a reason. You don't have to sit there and look at the phone and is it going to ring? Is it going to ring? Is it going to ring? And, okay, it's ringing. The voicemail's there to grab the phone when you're not paying attention. The email's there. You can check it later. Same with Facebook. If you're going to get on Facebook, be intentional. Schedule it out. Put it on your non-prime time. Put it in the evening where you're not going to reach clients, or in the morning where you're not going to reach clients, and do it then. Or you're standing in line, do it on your phone. Don't make Facebook your business. It's just a tool to stay connected. Mm-hmm. And finally, learn to trust your voicemail. You don't have to run across the room to grab the phone every time it rings. You can let it go to voicemail. You can check the message. You can call people back later. So that's a big tool that I recommend for people, is really leverage their systems and leverage the tools that they have. All right, so now we're going to we talked about this game changer, which is moving to client celebration windows. What this does is it gives you a chance to have fun as a health coach, to be way more efficient with your time, and a balanced life is an attractive one. Does that make sense? Yep. If you're walking around like crazy trying to keep up with everything, and then you're telling people, hey, come and do this, it's not going to be very attractive, because you want to demonstrate having a balanced life, doing fun things. That's why they say the 5 and 1 for posting on Face should be 1 out of 5 things should be fun, and only 1 of them should be business. Keep it fun, be attractive. Here's a schedule that some people like to do, because sometimes block time and prime time is on the lunch breaks. Everyone in the world who works usually has a break at lunch. So do you. So if you don't have time, let's say you have kids stuff in the evenings and you don't have time to move your business forward in the evening, maybe you can block out some time at lunch and do some calls there. Bring your folder with you, make some calls on your lunch break. Or you can block out some time in the evenings as well. So this is a different example of how somebody could work a very part-time 5 to 8 hours a week. Now you're going to be moving to the next level, which is, and then when you add the training, these are the things in red are the training times. As you start moving into the next level, where you are starting to bring on coaches, which is what we're going to start talking about now, is moving from just a health coach to a health coach and a business coach. Now you have some more activities and some more skills to develop. So this is a different way to structure that out. When you have a little more time, you might be able to put a networking meeting in the morning here and do a couple days a week at lunch for your block time, and a couple of times in the evening for your client celebration and your client follow-ups. So how do you make that shift? Going from, and we've all heard this, it's better to just not set the goal at 6,000 a month in front line. You want to get to 7 to 8 to eventually 10,000 and be in the 10,000 club. Brad, tell me 3 benefits, or tell me what are the top benefits for somebody going into the 10,000 club?
Sorry, I was muted for a second there. There's multiple benefits of being in the 10,000. One is you get to look at your clients purely as clients. It's a great opportunity to be there because your funnel is full and you're just literally focusing on helping people create health. One, besides that, is your referral source is a lot bigger. So now you're expanding into other areas. And we all know that each one of our clients has spheres of influence that they can connect with and connect us with. So the more clients you have, the higher front line you have, the more worlds you're possibly connected with. You're also filling your funnel with health coach candidates. So, the list goes on. That's just some of it. Plus, the income goes up from there as well for the more people you're helping.
And what's a beautiful thing is as you get to that critical mass where you have so much such a strong referral base, and you have so many people interested in thinking about coaching, got this whole pipeline, it does give you time to pull, to reallocate some of your energy to other things. So let's talk about where the shift in energy goes once you go from a fully integrated health coach to a fully integrated business coach. Now, let's go through the criteria. To be an FIBC, first of all, you're a fully integrated client. You're following the 5-in-1. You're checking in with your coach. You're on your journey to optimal health. You're on B-SLED. You're a fully integrated health coach. You've got 6,000 or more in frontline volume. You're certified. You're staying connected to the bio network. Just because you start being successful doesn't mean this is time for you to go off and do it on your own. Matter of fact, this is the most important time in your whole career, other than your first couple of weeks. This is the most important time when you need your business coach, as you start building teams. So the criteria is you got to help at least 5 senior coach teams or more and have at least 15,000 in group volume. So now there's 3 more KPIs to track. How many health coach candidate shares? In other words, how many times do you share or talk about the business to somebody? How many of those say, I want to learn more, they're interested, and they set up an interview with you and your mentor? And how many that go through the interview process or a presentation actually get started? And by looking at those ratios, again, you're going to want to look for 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 shares should give you at least 1 presentation. And every presentation you should probably get, if you do a good job of qualifying, I find it's closer to 1 out of 3 with health coaches, because if you do a good job of qualifying them as a client, 9 out of 10 times they're already prepped and primed and they're attracted and interested, and they've already got people asking them. So they're like almost being pulled into being a coach. So let's talk about, what does that look like? The learning curve starts off and it can go up, and then it starts to slow down. And right here, when you start getting at a high level of frontline clients, the gap between here and here is the learning curve, so that your income can start going up based on team building. Everyone seen this chart before? Dan has it in a lot of our presentations. So this is your time. This is your income. As your income goes up, you kind of take a little while, and then as you develop the skills to build a team, that's when your team building kicks in and your income starts going skyrocketing. So how do you shorten the curve? This is not the strategy. The Lone Ranger strategy is not the shortcut to success. The strategy to success is teamwork. And everyone, when you work together, you do better. That's why my new coach I was telling you about, she's done so well, is they're working together like every other day. They're doing 3-way calls. They're doing healthy happy hours together. They're working together as a team. And that's how it works, because teamwork equals leverage. People working together can get more done than anyone can on their own. And the cool part about this is that you, as a client, you're already trained in what you need to do as a health coach. And once you start having some of your clients that want to become a health coach, now you got to jump in this new bucket called business coach. Oh no, how do I coach a business coach? I've never done that. Don't worry. Do you remember how you got your first 5 clients started and we showed you how to do it? We did it with you. We did it for you. And we walked you through it. And we did it together. Well, that's what your business leader will do for your first 5 health coaches. They want to show you the template for getting a coach started so that you can build structure. And after you've done it 3, 4, 5 times, then guess what? They'll get behind you and they'll watch you and they'll give you coaching. Think about this way. Raise your hand on the screen if you've ever ridden a bike and you get behind somebody and you draft on somebody. Who's heard of the concept of drafting? They do it in cars. They do it. Ducks do it, right? Ducks flying in a V. The front one has to take all the friction, and all the ones behind, they don't have to work as hard. They work like 17% less than the guy in the front. So in the beginning, your mentor is going to take the lead. They're going to do the heavy lifting, and you're going to get behind, and you're going to watch while they show you how to get your first 5 clients, your first 5 coaches. But then after a while, we want you to shine. We don't want you to be a follower. We want you to be a leader. So guess what? You get in the front, you start taking the lead, and we get behind you and we cheer you on. And we watch and observe. And after a while, then you're going to bring in a new coach. You're going to do it for them. Then they're going to get behind and watch you. And then you're going to put them in front, and they're going to do it. You're going to watch them and coach them until they're autonomous and they can do it on their own and they're empowered. So this time management thing has a lot to do with teamwork. Can you see that? All right. Now, one of the other, I would talk about the tools that we have, because tools equal leverage and leverage equals efficiency, is the training guide number 2, which is building teams. And that correlates with folders 4, 5, and 6. Folder number 4, Ashley's favorite folder, which is the one you fill up with all your health coach candidates. Folder number 5, which is when they're getting started and they're learning how to be a health coach. And folder number 6, when they get into team building. And the tracking sheets go along with those. So this is a mid-sized business. This is where you're doing team building. You're integrated executive to a national. You're going to grow your frontline volume up to 10,000, and you're start building those senior coach teams. You start off with 1, get to 2, get to 5, get to 10, keep going. You're still going to be plugged in with your bio network. You're still going to be plugged in with your leaders. And here's what it looks like. This is what an FIBC business looks like. 6 to 8,000, usually about 25 to 30 clients, 5 or more senior coach teams. You can see these are all senior coaches or above, managers, associate directors. 15 to 25,000 in group volume. Average income is about $5,000 a month. Let's look at what an integrated regional looks like. It's very similar. You're going to keep growing your frontline volume. Want to try to get up to 8,000. Maybe you got 40 clients or more. Now you have a couple of ED legs, 1 to 2 ED legs. This one here is an integrated ED. This one here is a ED with maybe a blended path. And then you got associate, manager, and a senior coach. So this is now a higher group volume, 25 to 50 is kind of average. And the income is usually around $6,000 a month. Let's look at an integrated national business. You can see how an integrated business is much more solid and much more strong. For example, now you're building the frontline volume up to 10,000, so you maybe have 40 to 50 clients. You still have 5 or more senior coach teams. You probably at this level probably have about 10 senior coach teams altogether. 3 or 4 ED legs, your group volume is going to be 50 to 100,000, and your income is going to get to the 6-figure mark. And so as you can see, this is an integrated regional, and they got structure and they have depth. And this integrated ED starting to build structure and depth. This fully integrated health coach, they just have a bunch of clients. And so what you're looking for is you're starting to look for integrated leaders. You're trying to build yourself as integrated and then build your team as integrated. So now there's a new set of skills and actions and concepts that a mid-sized business has to learn. This is that learning curve that I talked about. So you're going to master, you've already started mastering health coaching, but you keep doing that. You keep acquiring and supporting clients. You go from 6 to 7 to 8 to 9,000. You become a professional business coach. Now you're starting to learn about empathetic coaching, leadership. You're going to start going to the advanced trainings. You're going to go global. You're going to take the advanced workshops at national. You might even be qualifying for Sundance and some of the leadership trainings. You want to become a professional business coach. It's a different set of skills because you're now acquiring and supporting health coaches and helping them build their future. And you really start moving in team building from me to we. You start, instead of telling and being the hero, you're now celebrating people on your team and you're helping them become heroes and helping them reach out and change people's lives. So the strategies are similar, but there's a couple little tweaks. So this is where you're probably at a mid-sized business. Most integrated regionals and nationals are still working part-time. They're working like 12 to 20 hours a week. They're definitely doing the client celebration blocks because that's how you keep your frontline volume up without going crazy. So get your 2 or maybe 3, no more, I'd say probably 2 nights a week for client celebrations, hour and a half, 2 hours for your client celebration calls. You're also going to have to block time for health coach prospecting, for identifying and qualifying health coach candidates, for working folder number 4. And you want to set aside time for health coach interviews or bringing people to events and meetings. I have block time that I set out twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the lunch hours, where I do my health coach prospecting, and I invite my frontline coaches and my builders to listen in or to bring their candidates to do a three-way with me. So I block out time for my own prospecting, and I also block out time to help my team interview and share the business with health coach candidates. And then health coach training and support is now also something that you have to do. You're going to have to now help develop health coaches. So one of the best things to do is get really good at plugging them into your leaders. We get them, be a body dragger, bring them to the Saturday trainings, bring them to these webinars with Brad and Ashley. Be a good body dragger. And then training and support can be done as a group, so you're not responsible for it. But at some point when you get to national or global, you might actually have such a large group that you might need to, schedule your own trainings and do some specific things. But irrespective, you can always work together in groups. Like you can work with one whole leg on a Zoom call or a team training, or you can combine people together. That's one of the strategies that Whitney's is really good at doing, is getting her teams together so that, like one whole leg, you can work with one person and everyone benefits, everyone wins. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if you think that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about what that looks like when you actually start building an integrated business. So an integrated ED is $60,000 a year. An integrated regional is $77,000, and an integrated national is, like I said, over six figures. So it's $100,000 a year. And again, these are all, most people who have this size of business are working less than 20 hours a week, usually like 15 to 20 hours a week with integrated business. Now, here's where I wanted to talk about going into team building. And what I started to do is I started adding, in addition to my client celebration times on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, I did Tuesdays and Thursday daytime for health coach acquisition and health coach training and sponsoring. So my business training is blocked into my calendar. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to hear from a couple of our other leaders on the call tonight. Brad, Ashley, Whitney. Why don't we start with Whitney, and then we'll go to Brad and Ashley as well. And I'd like for you guys to share about, once you become a team builder and you're now working with executive directors and their whole groups, they might have 3-4 people, a fully integrated business coach leg. What are some of the things you do to structure your calendar as a business leader? Whitney?
Hey, Greg, great Zoom webinar. This is outstanding. To talk about duplication, I've duplicated your pattern of how you structure block time. One of the things I always say is I live by my calendar. And if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done, which didn't used to be true. So how I've structured my week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is new business. And remember, I'm a presidential director, so I have a different focus. When I first started, I was working with clients pretty much all the time. As you grow your business, like Greg said, that's when you can be more structured. Would you agree with that, Greg? Is that true?
Absolutely.
So Monday and Wednesday and Friday, I'm doing networking, cold calling, presenting to my clients. So if I'm doing a client call, like Greg said, to present the business to them, I ask them if they have a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday appointment open. And that's new business, new people, new coaches, where I'm trying to get them moving forward. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm working with my current team. So if my current team says, I'd like to do a presentation to one of my clients and I'd like to leverage you on a 3-way call, that's when we'll do that. They know they can count on me on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I've got different block times set up throughout the day. And I'm coaching my clients in different blocks. And by the way, I saw everybody's hours. If I want to get power through the day and, not necessarily reach all my clients, I'm calling them during the day and I'm going to spend less hours. Tonight I did some evening calls, and it takes longer when you do it in the evening, but you probably have better results. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays are my coaching days for my team, my current team, and my clients. Is that what you wanted, Greg?
Yes, and let me ask you this. What time do you usually end your day? What's your store hours from when to when?
So it rotates depending on what we have in the evening. So for example, this evening we worked late, so I had an opportunity to start a little bit later. Some people get up at 7 and start their day. That's my day. Some days I'll get up and do my exercise, get it out of the way, and then start working. Mostly I like to call people after 9 to be respectful. So I try to generally start around that time. Now, I have people on the East Coast, so if I wanted to start at 8 a.m., I could call people on the East Coast as well, and I rotate that. Is that not clear enough, Greg?
No, that's great. And I should mention this, as a fully integrated business leader, most of us are full-time. Globals, they're doing pretty well, and a lot of them are able to go full-time. So structuring your calendar when you don't, you can retire from your day job when you're starting to make $100,000 to $200,000 a year, and people can actually do what they want to do with their time, and they can be flexible. My store hours, I don't start my day with Take Shape for Life until 10 o'clock. My morning time is dedicated to surfing and fitness. And then sometimes, because we do work late at night, because we do evening trainings like this, I'll make myself available, with some flexibility. Brad or Ashley, would you guys like to share maybe a couple things that you do to manage your schedule as a leader?
I can speak on that, Greg. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I have to tell you, one of the things you said in the very beginning was having people imagine how they would ideally like to spend their time. And that may seem so pie in the sky for a lot of you now, but as you continue to work, and if you choose the business leader route, you are going to be able to live that out. And my encouragement would be start to picture that now, because I can't tell you how many people reach this part. And to be honest, their mindset was that they were running away from something and not running towards something. Even though they thought they were, they get to this point of freedom and they freak out. So, right? So I can't tell you how many people go through this freak out because they didn't actually think, what do I want? So with the freedom comes like the power to make decisions, but nobody's on you for when to get up, when to report to the office. You're not an employee. So that would be my take on how important it is. Get down your priorities now. Get down all these basics that Greg's talking about now, because it's not that it's impossible. Anybody can do it, but it's so much simpler as you grow your business and you actually start to have more time to know what your priorities are. And I will also say everyone will want a piece of you, which is a huge compliment, but know your non-negotiables now, and live them now, because it seems like it would get more complicated, but I have to say, if you focus, it actually gets simpler the further you go into leadership. Wouldn't you agree, Greg?
It does, because you now have a team of people helping you, move forward. It's not you driving it. At the beginning, you're driving your business. It's you and your folder system and your phone and your mentor. And at this level, you've got teams. You've got teams of teams of teams, and you've got depth, and you're working with groups, and you start identifying leaders. This guy here, integrated regional, he's going to be a national very soon, and he's already got 20, 30 health coaches on that team, And so you have this team moving forward with all this momentum. The new guys come in, and they got all this excitement, and they fire up the old guys. And then the old guys have some wisdom and knowledge and share some stories, and they bring up and so everyone starts complimenting each other. So it definitely gets easier. And I'd like to share with you what a global director of business looks like when you start really building strength and depth. This is what a $30,000 a year business looks like. A global director with 40 EDs. Some of them are in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels deep. But this is where you start looking for those leaders, and you start having the ability to, because guess what? This person right here, they're probably making what, $80,000, $100,000 a year. They're doing really, really well. They're not going to give up on this business. They're locked in. They've got a team to support. They're excited. And if you go away, or you have a baby and you need to take some time off, your team's going to keep working with or without you. So it gives you a lot of leverage, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of freedom. You're absolutely right. And the incomes are exciting, because now you've got, you're making more than what some professionals like surgeons and the top paid people in the world make. But we're doing it. Every dollar we earn, again, is helping somebody get healthy, saving lives. I love the Thin It to Win It video that David Miller did today. on the top 10 for why become a coach. And number 10 was to be a hero. And that's when you get that first phone call from someone that says, man, I got off all these medicines. I lost 80 pounds and I think you saved my life. And what a feeling that is to know that that's what we do. That's our job, is to go out and help people save their lives. So to close it up, the moment of truth. You can keep doing what you've been doing. You can juggle the balls. You can try to say yes to everything. You can try to be a people pleaser. You can try to, make everyone happy and do, be all things to everyone, but you end up being nothing to no one. You're really not there for your kids. You're not there for yourself. You're not there for your church. You're not there for your clients. You're all over the place. I would suggest you get clear and, just like Ashley said, focus on your future. What really matters to you? You have to have some discipline. You have to have delayed gratification. You might have to say no to some really cool things for a month or two or 6 months or a year. But you can always go back to those things, but think about where you want to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Is it with your kids? Is it with your husband on the boat? Is it surfing down in Nicaragua, or maybe it's surfing in Hawaii? What is it for you? For me and Whitney, we love to travel. We just are travel bugs. We love to be able to just go and experience the world, come back and then be all fired up and get back to work. So find your passion, find your why, lock arms with your health coach. Are you toe dipping? Are you kind of just checking it out? Or are you ready to just dive in? Because I said at the beginning, you treat this business like a business or a hobby. I suggest you just dive in, have fun with us. Lock arm with your leader. We're here to help you every step of the way. And don't forget, there's so many opportunities for you to learn and take shape for life. Couple that I want to remind you about before we wrap it up is there's some West Coast Super Regionals coming up. January 9th and 10th is Portland, Oregon. January 15th is the first day we start our next 6-week health challenge. So we're going to launch the new year with Dr. A, Dan on tour, and a health challenge. Are you guys excited or what? And then we have San Diego Super Regional, the 16th and 17th, and we hope to see everyone there. And Brad and Ashley, I hope you guys will be able to make it. Either way, I just want to thank you for inviting me on the call tonight, and I hope your team and everyone got some good ideas from it. And I'll turn it back to you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Awesome, Greg. Thank you so much. I'm just going to give you a big thank you from everyone on the line. It's a huge pleasure and I see the thank yous pouring in from everyone on the chat. So many great things to take away, but really, between Whitney, yourself, and Ashley kind of wrapping up there, you hit it on the head, is that, the activities that we want to accomplish will fill the time allotted. And if you're on purpose with that, you can always get a lot more done. It's very revealing to see how many hours are in the week when you really break it down. And it's so important to be focused on where you want to go, because that time we can get a lot of stuff done with that. So I just want to thank you for your time on this. This is, I think, probably the 6th time I've taken this class, and I love it more every single time. So just want to say an additional thank you again for doing this for us.
My pleasure. Let's do it again. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you at the next event.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Great job, Wally.